Well, this is Dr. Mark Hitchcock welcoming you to another episode of Marking the Times. It's great to be back with you. Again, thank you again so much for your patience with us when that time we were kind of taken off or a little on hiatus from YouTube. So thank you so much for staying with us during that time. And you've sent in some really good questions, and next time I want to answer some of those questions that have been sent in. But what I want to do today is just give a prophecy update, a few things that have caught my eye over the last week or so. Many of you may be aware of what's happening over with China and Russia and Iran. I mean, these three nations today are called the Triple Axis. Those are kind of the three hot spots really in our world today. And I guess if you wanted to add a fourth, it would be North Korea. But I think with President Biden, being in office now, what's happening is these three nations are testing him. China has a lot of increased military flights over Taiwan. They consider Taiwan to be part of China. And so they're, kind of increasing the threats and the intimidation there. And many people are wondering, they're going to try to come in and try to annex or try to take Taiwan, sometime in the near future and make that, officially part of China again. So that's a real problem spot to watch. Also, Russia right now is amassing troops. They're building up troops on their border with Ukraine. Russia considers Ukraine to be part of their country as well. And I just read an article today that says many experts say it's a low to medium risk of an invasion of Ukraine by Russia in the next few weeks. So it's low to medium, but it's not zero. I mean, it's all the way up. Some people consider it to be a medium risk. Again, this is, President Biden and Putin have had their back and forths already. They've expelled some of our diplomats and we put more sanctions on them. So again, this is another kind of a hot spot or a crisis point in the world today. And then as I mentioned in our last episode, we have Iran, which, they're accusing Israel, and really Israel's not denying that they used some type of device to take out, at least temporarily, one of Iran's nuclear facilities. But Iran, all this time now, they're enriching uranium at 60%, which is getting closer and closer to that breakout level. So there's a lot happening on all three of these fronts, and I want to continue to watch these. We've got China, we've got Russia, we've got Iran, this triple axis. And then again, like I said, you could throw North Korea in there as well. But it's just kind of this overall turmoil and tension that's building in the world. And in one of these places, probably in the not too distant future, the lid's going to blow off. And again, many of these nations could try to take advantage of that when there's a crisis another place to stir up a crisis there as well. But one other thing I want to mention to you, I just want to mention this briefly. You can get online and look at this for yourselves. But just this last week, last Sunday on 60 Minutes, there was an expert on there, and the title of this piece is Pentagon Scientist Unveils New COVID Biochip Implanted Under the Skin. And I'll just read this to you. It's easier for me to read it than to summarize it all. But it says, retired Army General Matt Hepburn, who worked for years with the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, talked about a project in an interview on 60 Minutes on Sunday. He still works for the Army as a physician and is a joint product lead, according to his LinkedIn page. But he showed off the implant to Bill Whitaker of CBS and noted how the device could be used. And he said this: consider a ship like the USS Theodore Roosevelt hobbled last year when 1,271 crew members tested positive for the coronavirus. What if everyone on board had their health monitored with this subdermal implant now in late-stage testing? It's not some dreaded government microchip to track your every move, but a tissue-like gel engineered to continuously test your blood. It's a sensor. That tiny green thing in there that you put in underneath your skin, it tells you when there are chemical reactions going on inside the body, and that signal means you're going to have symptoms tomorrow. He likened it to like a check engine light on a car. And he said sailors would get the signal, then self-administer a blood test and test themselves on site. We can have that information in 3 to 5 minutes. As you truncate that time, as you diagnose and treat, what you do is stop the infection in its tracks. And he goes on to talk about the two parts to this sensor and so on. But the point of this is you're going to have this gel-like sensor underneath your skin, and it's going to alert you when something's going on in your body that's not right. and then you can have this blood test. And in other words, you'd be alerted to coronavirus or maybe other things as well. Now, again, this is really, when you think about it, this is a great idea. It's going to let people know that they're getting sick or something's happening to them before the fact and be able to get that remedied before they spread it to someone else. So there obviously are good things to this, as there always are with this type of technology, but it's also easy to see how this could be used in nefarious ways. People have these chips that are planted, to kind of like a check engine light for their health, but also to have all their health records on there, all types of other information. So this is just kind of another step, I see it, if something like this is instituted. And of course, they can probably do it in the military because they're there kind of under their control, but then can be brought out into the broader public. So again, these are just the kinds of things that are happening, and the technology that's out there really is stunning. I mean, it's astounding what they have. But all of this eventually, I think, will fall into the wrong hands, to nefarious hands, and is going to be used ultimately to monitor people's lives and to control their lives. But we see this stuff just really mushrooming exponentially as technology comes online. But anyway, this is just a general prophecy update about several different things that are happening for you to get on and to look at more in depth on your own. But I thank you so much again for joining us, and God bless you. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time.